So this one, we're going to be updating this format by using a property instance method. So it's basically turning this into a percent right off the bat instead of a decimal number like what we have here. So let's actually jump into our models.py for matches, and we're going to be adding in a property here. So if we do property, it automatically gives us some code that we can work with. I'm going to tab it out because of how the tabs automatically do. So now that we've got this, I'm just going to call it get percent. And I'll explain this property method in just a second. And then we're going to copy this down here. So the Unicode will copy basically that. But now, instead of just having the decimal, we're going to times it by 100. And since it's a decimal field, we have to turn our integer, which is this, into a decimal field as well. So we're going to do from decimal, import decimal. And we'll come down here and turn this 100 into a decimal as well. So then this multiplication that's happening here is actually the decimal, so new decimal equals to that. And now we can actually put it into that same equation. All right, so get percent, this property, what it does, if we look at the view, how this would happen is if normally we would do match.get get percent, and we would actually have to call the instance method. But since it's a property, we don't have to call the instance method. So if we look back, right, so like do match is a instance method, so we actually would have to call the function. Where here we just need to use dot notation and we don't have to call it. So do match, this wouldn't work. We'd have to go like that, and then we could do percent. This is how those two, that's the difference between those two. But I'm not going to worry about that. Instead, I'm going to go into our view and change our match decimal to get percent, and let's take a look at this. So if I reload in here, I now have this match percentage of 26.73, which is rounded exactly the way we want it to. The last thing I want to do is actually add in a percent sign here. So at the very end of that string substitution, or the integer, the float number substitution, we refresh in here, and we've got this incomplete format issue. So I'm going to go ahead and just add another percent here. That was a little formatting error. If you wanted to use a percent when you're using float, you would add the two percentages right there, just like we did. So going back in here, we see that that percent is now showing up, and it's looking pretty nice. So if we look at any of our other users, we would see the percentage that we have with these people, or these other users in general. All right, so if you have any questions on this, let us know. Otherwise, let's keep going.